My next guest built success from the ground up, from entrepreneur to business leader to CEO. But after achieving the milestones many people dream about, Chantell Preston realized the version of success she was chasing came with a cost. Now she's sharing the lessons she had to learn about redefining success in her new book, The Success Lie. Chantell Preston joins me with the story behind her journey. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Absolutely. I think, with this journey that you've gone on, there are so many people who can jump on that journey with you at some point, if not all of it. We'll start with, since you have in your book, The Success Lie, the first lie and the lesson that you learned about the stories we tell ourselves. And you learned that as a child.
I did. I mean, think about it. When we're kids, you want to have it all, right? Mm-hmm. The white picket fence, the perfect family, the perfect career, the perfect spouse.
And you'll tell your friends you have it all, right? No matter what's happening at home.
That's right. And in my own family, everyone from the outside looking in thought we did. But if you've lived inside the walls of the home, it was very different. Yeah. And so I think as a child, I wanted that have it all moment. And so I was so focused throughout my career of reaching that outcome. I didn't really enjoy the journey. And then when I got there, it was nothing like what I thought.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things that inspired you to question the lies that women in particular are told about success was you went back to that feeling as a child when your dad told you something.
Yeah, so unfortunately my parents got divorced when I was young, but when my mother was leaving, she decided that this was not where I wanted to be. My dad came in and said, look, I need you to go make your mom stay, and if she leaves, it's your fault. And as a 12-year-old, at the time you don't think much about it, but I realized over the years how much that impacted me of carrying that burden. There was some motivation there because then I never wanted to be like my mom and lose everything for my own happiness. And so again, we take those traumas as children and we say, what happens? And a lot of my characteristics and traits over my adulthood were really formed because of some of those things.
Because if you believe that she left because of me, I need to learn to be nice to everybody.
That's right.
Even at the expense of, we were talking about the expense of yourself. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And as you know, if you're in business, right, you're going to have to ruffle some feathers. All right, you went off to, it pains me to say this. I'm going to say this right now. I think some of our producers have searched out A&M graduates just so I have to interview them, right? Yeah.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, they're in my ear right now going, gig 'em. No, yeah. I'm just joking. But no, you went to Texas A&M, got your degree in business, MBA at Sam Houston State University, 25 plus years in leadership experience. You built, scaled, and transformed healthcare organizations, and then you did it for yourself.
I did. And so, again, sometimes where we think we're going to end up in life and where we end up are two totally different things. And so to your point, I wanted to have it all. I wanted that have it all pinnacle moment. And so when I sold my business, my brain injury rehab business, I thought, this is it. I have it all.
Yeah, in fact, let's back up too.
Yes.
You had built this great business, and it was November in 2014. You're walking through New York City. You're getting ready to sign the final paperwork to sell your company. I mean, how much better does it get? And then you got a call that lets you know that you didn't have it all.
No, it was I can almost feel it like it was yesterday. Walking through New York, I get a phone call and my spouse says, I don't want to be here anymore. And I just couldn't understand.
Did you have any idea?
No, because I thought everything I had been working for was for my family. Yeah. And so I thought this was it. We're finally going to have it all. We'll have everything we ever wanted. And now I have time to spend with my family.
Because you're focusing on that, thinking that they know.
That's right. Yeah. But what they really wanted was just for me to be present. And I wasn't present because, again, I thought what I was doing was what I needed to do financially for my family, but also for me in following my own purpose.
And there lies the point of the struggle to have it all, to focus on family and those things that you're talking about to build that security. You had to go through a moment of reckoning. I mean, there's a point where you have to fall apart and then leave the pieces on the floor that don't work and then pick up the pieces that do and rebuild your life. You lost the life that you thought you wanted, but you reevaluated what success really means.
It did, because when I was growing up, success was all about money and title. If you had the money and title, you had success.
People still think that today. Right. That's what we've been told.
But then when you get there and you get it, you're like, wait, you feel so empty inside. And then you realize, is this really it? Yeah. And so a lot of really personal development on my own side of sitting back and saying, what do I really think success is? And what do I think success is right now? Because we also look at things, we used to say 5, 10 years, where do you want to be? Right now, I'm like, where do I want to be in 6 months? Yeah. Right? I mean, we've learned that life can change, not, from our own doing. So where do I want to be in 3 to 6 months? And everything has a season and reason. And so I had to really sit back and say, what does success really mean to me? Not what society tells me, not what my parents tell me, but me. me.
Yeah.
And now it's very different.
And it changed the way that you saw yourself as a leader. You were more compassionate. You said empathy and sympathy were not bad things, they were good things. And even in bad situations, you had to fire an employee that you really liked. That's hard to do.
You know, as a CEO, you know, we worry about the financial viability of the company and doing what's best, but I had to fire an individual that I had a tremendous amount of respect for, but she just wasn't the right fit. And, you know, my old self would have gone in, just said, you're fired, and gone out the door and never looked back. But this person I really had a lot of respect for. So I sat down, and as much as I didn't want to cry, tears started to flow, and I just had a very direct conversation with her and saying, hey, look, this is what we need, you're not there. And I sat there and being compassionate, empathetic. 6 months later, she called me and she said, thank you so much for being the leader you were, because I found the job of my dreams. And she would have never left if that moment hadn't happened, nor would she have had the confidence to go out and find that job. But helping people, being compassionate, and showing her and being direct too, of these are some of the things where you need to be better at, really helped her at the end of the day.
And these are lessons that you turn into a mission. You speak to women, you mentor, you have conversations with many women who we oftentimes hear them say the same thing. They struggle with the expectations to do more, be more, take care of everyone, never show weakness. These were shared experiences, not individual failures.
That's right. Somewhere in society we became, when I fail, I'm a failure. That's not the case. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. And I try to remind people that failure is your greatest life lesson. What are we learning from those failures? And again, it's just about mindset. But those lies that we were told as kids, be nice to everybody, don't show emotion, how do we reframe those so they fit within your life in the way you want to live?
Yeah, and it's interesting because when women show emotion, sometimes it's so animated. It's like, you know, the guy who's yelling is just passionate. He's just passionate. The woman who's, you're so hysterical, calm it down, right? Okay, the success lie challenges the definition of success that many women inherit. And the problem is not lack of ambition, it's chasing versions of success that don't belong to you.
That's right. It's all the expectations. Be perfect at everything. Well, perfection doesn't exist. Let's throw that word out of our vocabulary. So how can we look at our lives and say, how can I integrate my professional and my personal? Not have to choose between the two. And look, times are tough. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You can't be 100% all the time to everything. So look at where you are. What's the season and reason? What are your goals right then and there? And how can you achieve those? By saying no to things, by being a compassionate leader, by putting people in the positions where they're going to be most successful. So it's really just evaluating things differently than probably how we were taught.
And when you're saying how we were taught, and that's the problem, how we were taught from day one, that's what we had learned. So it takes some time to unlearn those things. That's what this book helps us to do, is to unlearn some of those lies. One of those lies is you can have it all. You can, but maybe not all at the same time.
That's exactly what I say, right? So stop trying to do it all at once, but maybe look at where you are in your life, in your time frame, and say, hey, what's important to me right now? It's called the WIN strategy. What's important now? This is what's important to me now. Very different than 15 years ago, but now I know what I'm trying to achieve.
One of your other ones is career success comes at the cost of a fully functioning family.
You know, I waited very late in life to have children because I thought I had to pick between the two. If I would have known how great parenthood would, I wish I would have done it before. But I've also realized being a mom makes me a better leader, and being a leader makes me a better mom. So a lot of the things that I think I have to do one versus the other, I can do them in both places and integrate them together.
And managing time better.
That's exactly
I
right.
remember I had my son, like, you know, I was like, hon, we got to find the best after school program that he can go to after elementary school. And then one day he said to me, he goes, Mommy, I was at the back of the school today and I saw mommies picking up their kids. Can you do that? I thought, wait, we were paying for this after school program where you're getting like tennis lessons and music lessons. I goes, I just want to be with you. So it was having to manage time to get out of work earlier to make sure that I was always the last car, 3:17, but to make sure I was there to pick him up.
Well, and I'll just real quick on that. It's also about quality time, not quantity time. Look, I'm not going to be the one that runs you to practices and sits for an hour and a half, but when I'm there, I am emotionally there and available for my kids, and that's really important.
All right. The other one, this is so hard for somebody, you have to say yes to everything.
You know, I was the worst one about somebody would ask me something, yes, shiny penny, I'd love to do it. PTA, room mom. I was a room mom for 6 years in elementary school, and I thought, why am I doing this? My kids don't care, but I thought that made me look like a good parent. And then I realized, reframed it in my own mind, if I say no, it's giving someone else an opportunity to say yes. And that removed the guilt from me of seeing that I'm not stepping up and doing what I need to do. It's the opportunity for someone that really wants to do that.
And now you can just have Uber Eats drop off the cupcakes.
Isn't that so true? Yes.
That's all good.
Don't tell everybody our secrets,
that's
okay?
right. That's right. That's right. All right. And so many other things in here, the lies that we unlearn without, sacrificing ourselves or our reputation or anything else. But thank you so much for bringing this up. Life Today, you're the founder and CEO of Preston Partners, Texas Women's Hall of Fame inductee, mother of 3 daughters, which is probably your biggest distinction there. And so they're seeing a great example of how they can move forward. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
All right. The Success Lie will be available August 18th and is available for pre-sale or order now. For more information, visit greatdayhouston.com and we will connect you.